There's going to be a video on changing a car battery. This is a 96 Infiniti, and it's a fairly easy job to do. If you've never done it before, it's not that difficult to do. You are going to need, for this, it's probably 10 millimeter bolt or nut, so a 10 millimeter socket. If it doesn't go down there, you might need a 10 millimeter open end wrench, 10 millimeter over there. Probably a 10 millimeter over here on the small end. So you might be able to do a socket. This has got a square thing. You might need vice grips on there or an adjustable wrench. So if you like my videos, thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, comment. This is a review channel, so if there's something you need reviewed, if I can get a hold of it, let me know and I'll do the video. If you want to donate, ask for my PayPal info. So it's not going to be that difficult to do. Again, you're dealing with electricity, so you definitely need to be careful. There is usually acid leaking from these batteries, so you're going to want a pair of gloves to put on so you don't get dirty or get corrosion on you. What else is there? Most important thing, this is the ground. It's the black wire. You want to disconnect the black wire first. That way, if you short anything out, which looks impossible in this thing, you won't have a problem. So disconnect the ground first, get it out of the way, go in there and take off the positive. And when you are putting the new battery in, you're going to put the positive on first, tighten it down, then do the negative. For me, I've got a solar charger that I'm going to plug into the cigarette lighter so that hopefully I don't lose the settings on the radio. You don't have to do that. This is an interstate battery that I got from the Auto Club. I picked up one just like it at Costco for about 40 bucks less than what you can normally buy it for in the store. When you buy your batteries, make sure that you look up, make sure you get the right size, make sure that the power plus is on the right side, minus is on the right side. They sold two batteries like this. One had the plus on this side, one had the plus on this side, and it matters because of the length of the cables. So what I'm going to do before I get all into this, I'm going to get my 10 millimeter wrench. I'm going to loosen everything over here to make sure I can disconnect everything, and then I will come back and show you where we're at. This is the solar charger powering through the cigarette lighter. If you're going to do something like this, make sure that your cigarette lighter is active at all times, even when the key is not in there. Otherwise, it's not going to be working. It's not going to matter. So the first thing you'll do is you will work on your nuts. Remove your nuts on the tie down clamp. Make sure they come apart, because if these don't loosen, then you're going to be dealing with a lot of other problems before you get to the point of removing this. So you want to make sure that, like, if the nuts don't loosen, you might have to break off the rod and then go down to the store and buy another hold down rod. So that's the whole point of checking this out beforehand. Okay, so this tightens that way, and this is where a deep-headed socket set would really come in handy. So I'm going to move the camera now, but make sure this comes apart, make sure this loosens, and then once you get everything out, you just reverse it and put the battery back in, the new battery. 10 millimeter on the negative, 10 millimeter on the positive, 10 millimeter on the hold down clamp, and 10 millimeter on the hold down clamp. I don't have any deep well sockets for my socket set, and the socket is not going to go over this long screw, and it's not going to fit in here. So if you have deep well sockets, that will probably help you out a lot. And I'm going to loosen all four of these now and then continue the video. You can see how rusted that is. This one really doesn't want to come off, but I should be able to get them off. A hold down clamp is not that expensive if you need to buy it. When you take this off, guys, make sure you don't lose your nuts. Put your nuts in a safe place so that you don't have to go out and buy another hold down clamp. You're going to have two nuts. So put your two nuts in a very safe place. Don't leave them in the engine. Put them on the ground somewhere in a good location. Alright, the back bracket is giving me, the back nut is giving me a hard time. Got this nut loose. Get this out of the way. I don't know if this is completely off. It's almost off. So I wish I had a socket set with a deep well, but I don't for metric. It would make it a little easier. Okay. Got that out of the way. Now I'm going to put on the gloves and take out the battery. Something about batteries. The battery that was in here originally that I just took out was put in by the Auto Club, and it had 550 amps of cranking power. It was a small battery, but it was able to start the car. And 550 is probably okay for this car. Usually 600 amps or more is what you want. The battery that I bought that is over here has 700 amps of cranking power, so it's 150 amps more. It's a much larger battery. It does fit into the tray. That's the important thing. It's got to fit into the tray, and the height has to be low enough so that you can close your hood. So you always want to try to get a big enough battery for your vehicle. And I mean, the Auto Club, they put in a battery that fit, and it did what it was supposed to do. But if you do this on your own, you're able to buy a battery that maybe has more amperage. The other thing that you really want to look at is all these batteries have a sticker on the top. This says 519. Costco just got this in May, and it is May right now. I picked up a battery at AutoZone that had a sticker on there from 118, and I bought it in 119. And so they told me that the battery was still good, and it was covered for 3 years of warranty, but I told them the battery sat on the shelf for a year after it was manufactured. And they gave me a new battery because they knew they were wrong. So always check the sticker on there and make sure that you're getting a new battery. You don't want a battery that's sat on the shelf for a year, even if the warranty is going to be good. It's a year just sitting there not being powered up. Alright, so I got the battery in there. It's definitely big. I'm going to put on the positive cable, then I'm going to put on the negative. I'm going to tighten it down. I'm going to put down the hold down clamp, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. And remember, you take off the negative first, then the positive. You put on the positive first, and then the negative. So I've got the positive on. I'm going to tighten it up. If I had a socket set, as I said, it would be a lot easier, but this is going to work. I don't know if I'm going to need a new hold down clamp, but that's not a big issue. You do not want to tighten these nuts down so tight that you break the post or bend the post, which I don't think is going to happen. You can go to the auto parts store if you want and buy some battery terminal spray that will seal this up a little bit. Or you can put Vaseline around it. It's up to you. Or you can just leave it alone. See, with a socket set, this would be a lot easier. The nuts are kind of worn out. And it's more difficult with an open end, but it's doable. And that's all that matters, is that you can complete the job. And these are not standard wrenches. These have two different sizes in them, so it's a little difficult. Okay, that's tight. That's torqued down enough. I like that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to put on the bracket first, because the negative's not connected, so I don't have to worry about any shorting or blowing the battery up. In my case, these my nuts are really rusty, and so I might buy another clamp, but my nuts are very rusty, and my rod is very rusty, and it's going to be difficult to put this on. I might use, okay, we're doing okay. I don't have any lubrication to put on my nuts, so not so easy to do, but we're almost done. Finished. I was able to get my rusty nuts tightened, and you don't want to tighten this so much that you're going to crack the case of the battery. All I've got now is to attach the negative. If you have an alarm, it's probably going to go off when you put the battery back on. What else is there? And after I get this on, I'm going to disconnect the solar charger that I have connected and start the thing up, and we'll see if this worked. So it's really not that big of a job. Most important thing is having the right tools and taking your time and being careful and safe. And in this case, I don't really have the right tools because this is an Infiniti on a foreign car. It's usually 10 millimeter socket or wrench, and on an American car, I don't even know what the size is for the nuts. But, okay, that's pretty tight. I want to get it a little tighter. You always want it tight. The most important thing in this job is make sure that you tighten your nuts, but don't over tighten them. Okay, so it looks like we've got a nice solid connection over there. And I think that's going to be the end of the video. Everything is done. I'm going to start it up now and get your tools out of the way. I'm going to get my tools out of the way, get my gloves out of the way, get the battery pieces, the battery covers out of the way, and we'll see what happens. So remember, do that thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, and help me out. Leave a little donation on the PayPal. Alright, here we go. Let's get the keys, start this thing up. See what happens. There it is, people. It worked. All right. Sorry I had to talk so quietly, but I've got nosy neighbors. I'm going to try to turn up the audio in the editing, and any questions you have, feel free to ask. Leave them in the comments.